This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 789 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Today's tip is brought to you by the IPHDA. You can find them online at iphda.com. Hi, Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is from Rod Miller. Rod teaches principles of balanced riding found in dressage with the communication philosophies of natural horse training, creating a positive, progressive approach for his students. Today, Rod talks about the importance of understanding the words we use and provides several examples. And we'll get to it right after this message from the IPHDA. The International Performance Horse Development Association, or IPHDA, is an online horse association providing its members educational opportunities and virtual horse shows in a wide range of classes, from ranch work to reining to barrel racing. IPHDA even offers in-hand classes, so there's something for everyone. It's easy and fun to enter classes, too. No long drives to the horse show grounds, no hotels, no scrambling to schedule sitters while you're away. Members simply sign up for classes and submit their video according to the class's specifications. Like a live horse show, you'll compete with others, get judges' feedback, and win prizes. You can learn more at internethorseshow.com. That's internethorseshow.com.
Well, the tip that I wanted to give everybody today kind of came about by running the IPHDA V shows, and basically what it is make sure you really understand what your coach is saying. And what we were finding in the V shows, and we hire our judges for IPHDA based mostly on their ability as competitive riders, so they know what the judges are looking for in other events. And what we were finding is when riders started showing in our V shows, we were hearing tips from our judges such as try to get your horse to soften to your hands, try to get your horse to respond to the contact, and then your horse needs more forward. And then over the course of a few shows, we started hearing different tips from our judges for the same horse and riders. And they went from try to get your horse to accept your hands so they do not overreact to the contact, and then, your horse needs to relax. He's looking rushed. So what we were seeing was that these riders were interpreting soft as light, and they were going from resistant to contact to reacting to contact, and skipping the total soft response that our judges were after. Does that kind of make sense?
I can completely understand how this works because we as humans communicate verbally, and riding is a tactile thing. So we're trying to put into words something you feel. So I can totally understand how this can get very confusing. And I think you probably have a couple of really good examples of terminology and how it can be felt or received or interpreted in a lot of different ways. And all those things you just said apply to whether you're riding English or Western or trail riding or doing extreme trail or show jumpers. This always applies no matter who you're working with, whether it's an instructor or a judge via the IPHDA online shows, a clinician at a clinic that you just pay gobs of money for, or at a horse show when you're able to get judges' feedback. Sometimes the interpretation of that feedback that's just as important as the feedback itself, because if you don't fully grasp exactly what the judge meant, you're fresh out of luck. So help me out with a couple of these common terms.
Well, the main ones that we've dealt with, and what we did is we're constantly creating a glossary of terms for IPHDA that we encourage our judges to read and understand, because when even judges had different subtle differences in what they were thinking when they said something. We encourage our judges to use our glossary, as well as that way when our exhibitors get feedback, if there's something they're not quite sure that the judge said, all they have to do is go to the glossary and check it. And the two that we just mentioned, and we can throw in a third there, is soft and light. And in the middle of soft and light, we put supple, okay? And basically how we describe it is soft is accepting the contact and responding to the contact in the manner we want, okay? Supple is going to be when the horse will stay soft as we change the response we ask for. For example, when we ask for a transition or changing bend for a circle, okay, like doing a figure eight. Light, then, is the willingness of the horse to respond in a supple manner with very light contact, okay, as on a loose rein, which I understand is a Western concept, but that is part of being, that's part of being a Western horse, is being able to...
Even in dressage, light might not feel the same in that the rein does not drape, but
right.
Light in other disciplines still applies because you need to have the connection such that the responsiveness is not constantly changing. In other words, when you change your bend left to right, you require X amount of aid or pressure. But when you bend right to left again, it's very different. In other words, your horse is leaning on the right rein or something to that effect. So it does apply to all of the disciplines, but it's going to look a little bit different when it's applied to each one. But it makes perfect sense. So it kind of goes in a logical pattern, a logical progression here. You start with soft, and you add supple, and then you top off your ice cream sundae with a little bit of light cream. And
depending on the event that you're trying to train for, and the horse that you're riding, and this is the one thing that I found as a trainer, is that if I train for soft and supple, the horse is going to be the one that decides how light I can get that soft and supple response.
Right.
Okay?
Each animal requires a slightly different amount of tension. Yes.
Exactly. And that comes a lot to their mental ability to stay there on a loose rein and respond softly. At my clinic, I kind of compare it to reaction and response at my clinics, because we can easily teach a horse to react to light touch, okay? It's their nature. They quickly learn that when the boss mare twitches her ears or flicks her tail, they better get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Okay? So we also know that horses learn from release, but hard part for riders is being able to use the contact to soften our horses so that they actually find their own release from the pressure and learn to respond to the contact instead of reacting to it in a light fashion.
Mm-hmm. So here again,
does that make sense?
We've already added 2 more terms to what we thought was going to be a 3-term tip. So
there you go.
Understanding the difference between response and reaction are key as well, because if you do not innately recognize the difference, you're going to be going down the wrong path and make a lot of training errors with your horse. So you need to get really, really comfortable with which one you're getting when you're sitting on your horse and you give the horse an aid. Are you getting a response or are you getting a reaction? Am I right there?
And yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to give a little bit of a lead into next tip, I believe here, is because I don't think we have time to get into this today. But the hard part for riders to learn when their horse is released to them and is feel. And we touched on feel in the first tip where we talked about rhythm, because everybody thinks feel is hard to learn. It's something you have to just develop. Well, it is to a point, but it has to start at feeling your horse's rhythm, because your horse is going to respond to pressure if you apply it in rhythm, and that comes into your dressage terminology, I believe, is a half halt.
Ooh. Boy, oh boy, Rod, you're really stretching the gray matter for this late in the evening. I don't know. But that's excellent because they all relate to each other. None of these terms, none of these concepts stand alone. They all work together.
That's why we do not restrict the PhD classes in RV shows to any type of tack. Mm-hmm. If you read our rules, it says they have to have a bridle and they have to have a saddle and the rider has to have boots with heels. Period.
There you go. I like that. Even I can do that, Rod. Woohoo!
Train a horse is train a horse.
Train a horse is
I don't care what the saddle is.
There you go. Well, no truer words have ever been said. For our listeners out there who are now googly-eyed and really need to add to their collection of understandable terms, where can they find out more?
Well, we have the IPHDA glossary of terms is at internethorseshow.com or IPHDA.com. You can find it. It's on the website. I'd have to go and look, but I think it's under About IPHDA. Or they can go to my website, which is developyourride.com, and I have all kinds of blog posts about terminology.
I went there just the other day and had a great deal of fun. I enjoyed reading it. I felt so much smarter when I was finished. We so appreciate you coming over here and giving us some helpful tips on being better horsemen and better trainers and having a lot of fun. And listeners out there, check out the IPHDA. You can just go to IPHDA.com, or you can stop over at Horses in the Morning. Wrong show. HorseTipDaily.com, and you'll see Rod's tips right there and easy to find. And we'll be seeing you again soon, Rod.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I'm enjoying it.
And that's a wrap. Remember, it's IPHDA.com or internethorseshows.com. They both go to the same place. It's really an awesome website, and it's fun to learn stuff from there, and you can also enter horse shows. Please stop by the Horse Tip Daily Facebook page and let us know what you think of the tips you hear on the show. It's also a great place to tell us about topics you'd like to hear us cover on the show. You can subscribe to all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network through iTunes or Zune and get your horse podcasts automatically downloaded to your iPod, Zune, or MP3 player. You can also listen to the shows right on Facebook. The player's right there every day. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.